The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Matthew Hurley and I'm joined today by Star Sports reporter Sean Holland. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose Credit Union, choose local, choose community. Now later on the show we'll be joined by the victorious Castlehaven captain Mark Collins after the Haven claimed their second county Premier Senior Football Championship title in a row after beating Nemo Rangers 16 points to 11 last Sunday. Mark has a brilliant interview coming up as well, and it'd be worth your while checking that out. But before we get talk to Mark about it, we might give our own thoughts of the game, Sean. It was a brilliant win for the Haven in the end. They were 8 points to 7 down at half time. They dragged it out of the fire, and it was a brilliant win for the Haven, and 2 in a row is complete.
Yeah, it was indeed, Matt, and it kind of played out like we kind of have predicted the week before. We did feel that Nemo would keep the Haven close by for a good period of the game. But their fitness and their strength off the bench really told there towards the end, didn't it, that they were able to pull away. And it was, even speaking to Michael Hurley during the week, just kind of give us the sense of what it was like at halftime, because Haven going in as strong favourites and being down at halftime, it was a calm dressing room. They hadn't played well, but the lads knew what they had off the bench and that they had a lot more in them. And they got a couple of early scores in the second half, really settled them down, and really forced, when they got a couple of points up, kind of forced Nemo to come out of their shell a small bit and open up. And then obviously the Haven were able to counterattack that and put over point after point. And eventually it was comfortable enough in the end, Matt, as you probably agree, that a 5-point win was fully deserving. But it's a year that they were able to back up those favourite tags fairly well. A lot of people had them earmarked for the title after the St. Michael's result in round 2. So it was a successful year for them, and of course they're not done just yet.
Yeah, exactly. And worth noting as well, you got it bang on last week, 5-point victory. So it definitely won't behold from Sean Holland's point of view there. But you should make more predictions in the future. Yeah,
as long as they're not putting money down the bookies with them as well, I'd say it would be all right.
Exactly, yeah. But as you said, behind at half time, obviously they won the second half 9 points to 3. They converted 69% of their shots in the second half compared to Nemo's 30%. Overall, it was just a fantastic second half performance from the Haven, and it looked a comfortable victory, a 5-point victory, but Nemo definitely put it up to them. But the Haven won comfortably. That's definitely, a positive from a Haven point of view moving into Munster.
It is really, Matt, and it's kind of just that they've added a few more strings to their bow now, that they're not just relying on Brian Hurley, to get him over the line. Obviously, Brian was fantastic in the semi-final, but then the other lads around him pick up the slack. Jack Clann has come into his own this championship. Michael Hurley had his best game of the year the last day. Cathal Maguire is always a driving force there, and then they've like Micheál Maguire off the bench. Conor Clann they were able to call off the bench as well, which is they're fantastic names, to be calling upon to bring in fresh legs at that stage of the game. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare against Crokes. As we both know, Crokes got over the line against Dingle, but they kind of got 3 sloppy enough goals. So you can look at that both ways. But Haven are a very hard side to break down in terms of conceding goals. So it'll be very interesting to see how that Munster campaign pans out, because you'd imagine the winner of that game would probably go on to win the provincial title. But Haven deservedly celebrating their win this weekend, but they know that there's a lot more in them going forward this year.
Is there an opportunity there to get giddy a small bit about the Haven, because like they're the only out of the four provincial championship champions from 23-24 in the club scene in senior football. The Haven were the only ones to win their county title. Bridges are out, Kilmacabea are out, Watty Graham's Glen are out as well. So I know I might be going too far ahead of the curve here, but is there a hope that the Haven could even go beyond Munster? I know Dr. Crokes are next, but like if they manage to win Munster, could we be talking about an All Ireland title for the Haven?
It'd be very interesting to see actually. I'd seen that all the results kind of went that way, and even the hurling finalists as well got knocked out over the weekend as well. So it was a very interesting weekend on the GA club results front. But anything's possible. But the Crokes game is really almost the key to unlock the rest of the season. If you can get past them, you'd fancy them against whoever's on the other side of the draw. And then it's anyone's game at that stage. But they weren't that far behind Bridget's at all in Thurles. At the start of this year now. So Rory Maguire shot off the bar would have changed the whole complexion of that, as we saw Bridget pushed the Glen very close in the final as well. So they're thereabouts, and they've seemed to have gotten stronger from last year, more solid at the back. A lot fitter and well able to take scores up front with more options off the bench as well. So it's possible, but I know from even talking to Michael Hurley, I know for enough fellas down in Castlehaven, they won't be looking past Crokes, and that should make for a tasty encounter.
We definitely won't know, and we'll hear from Mark Collins in just a bit. But just to talk about Mark, Sean, he was part of the team that won two in a row back in 2012 and 2013. He's one of the most experienced campaigners in the side as well, the captain of the side, and he's the most probably versatile player in Cork at the moment, playing at wing back in the latter stages of his career and kind of a sweeping role for Castlehaven. He's been probably one of the main players. You might talk about the young players, the likes of the Roy Maguires, the Jack Callans, the Michael Hurleys, the Micheál Maguires. But Mark Collins and Brian Hurley and Conor Cahalane, Damien Cahalane, these are the elder statesmen that are holding it all together. And Mark is definitely an unbelievable servant to Castlehaven.
Oh, Mark's will go down in history as one of their best players of all time. If you were making all-time Castlehaven 15, I don't think you'd have any fellow would leave Mark Collins out of that 15. And he's been a great servant to Cork as well. And he's so grounded. There's nothing about him that would say, oh, this fella thinks he's better than anyone else. He's a pure, honest to God fella, and that really comes out in his play as well. He's a very honest footballer, very intelligent. His kick passing is second to none. His on the ball intelligence is brilliant. Even in the game the last day, he had two vital interceptions that stopped Nemo scores, and they had the result effect then as well. They went down the other end of the pitch and kicked insurance scores. So it's been a huge change in terms of him going into the back line, but he still has that same composure on the ball. He's still starting the attacks. He still has that huge influence on the game. And John Hayes even mentioned in his column this week that John Cleary should pick up the phone, and give him a shout. And you'd pick Mark ahead of a lot of fellas in the county now for that wing back position. And with the new rules implemented as well, and his ability to kick pass, and we know from seeing the games up in Grove Park that benefit that would bring, he'd be a huge addition to Cork. But as I said, he's given enough service to there. He might be enjoying just his club football, but a fantastic achievement for Mark to match Shawnee's achievement as well with the double winning captain, but fully deserving.
Absolutely deserving, and we will hear from Castlehaven's brilliant captain, Mark Collins, now. So delighted to be joined on the podcast here by Castlehaven captain Mark Collins, double two in a row winning captain Mark Collins. We could say at this stage, Castlehaven after beating Nemo Rangers on a scoreless 16 points to 11 last weekend. Suppose first of all, Mark, the celebrations were good. You were saying off air on Sunday and Monday evening.
Yeah, we had a great couple of days, to be honest, Matthew. I think, I think we said during the week these occasions don't come around too often, so you have to make the most of it when they happen. And we really enjoyed the couple of days, but back down to work now today.
Has it really sunk in winning two in a row? I know you did it before in 2012 and 2013, but to win two in a row with St. Finbarr's and Nemo Rangers around this time around, it's a magnificent achievement.
Yeah, I don't think it has, to be honest. I think, there's such emotion involved in those days and stuff that when they come around, it's kind of, a bit of a whirlwind for a couple of days and stuff. But kind of being back to work now today and stuff, and getting time to think about it, it'll start to sink in hopefully. And as you said, it's a brilliant achievement, and we're absolutely delighted with it.
If I was to ask you this, which do you think was better of an achievement of a two in a row? Was it this season's one, 23-24, or was it the 2012-2013 one?
Yeah, it'd be very hard to put an answer to that to you, but I think this team kind of were knocking on the door for 4 or 5 years without getting over the line. So to eventually get over the line last year was unbelievable, and then to back it up this year, to prove that we belonged up with the Nemo and the Bars over the last couple of years, kind of gave us great satisfaction, and we're delighted with that.
What was the feeling going in at half time against Nemo last Sunday? 8 points to 7 down. Obviously, you were playing well enough at that stage as well. But what was kind of the feeling going in at half time? Were you kind of nervous going to the second half after that?
Yeah, I think we were a bit disappointed, to be honest. I suppose it was the first time all year we went in at half time behind, all our games through the group stage, and against the Bars, we probably had a nice lead at half time. And I think the management asked us a few questions at half time. They weren't happy with our first half performance. I think we only had one positive turnover in the first half, and that came in the very last play when Brian Hurley overturned Barry Cripps. And they just put it up to us that we weren't getting enough contact on, and really asked us a few questions, and thank God we answered them in the second half.
I suppose to beat Nemo and the Bars in both seasons of the two in a row, 23 and 24, to beat those brilliant sides like those, that probably just epitomises the great achievement that was winning the two in a row.
Yeah, I suppose we both know they're very good teams. The Bars have been probably the top team in Cork over the last 5 years. And Nemo, as we always say, their record speaks for itself. There's never a bad Nemo team. Is it 23 counties? They have an absolutely incredible record, and we knew going in Sunday that they weren't going to be easy to beat. That they were going to put their best foot forward and perform. So we knew we had to be up for it. And to be fair, I think Nemo did that. And thankfully, we were able to answer them a small bit in the second half.
I suppose Nemo performed well in the first half, and you were going in kind of disappointed with your first half performance, as you said earlier. Do you think the second half performance, where you beat Nemo by 9 points to 3, was the best second half performance that you produced all year?
Yeah, I think it was probably our best second half performance all year, because it's something we touched on a good bit. We'd come out of the box a lot in games, and probably hadn't backed it up a small bit in the second half, and it was something we were a little bit worried about over the last couple of matches, and we targeted and to keep Nemo to 3 points and only score one from play in the second half. We're absolutely delighted with that, and I think it was a very good second half performance.
I suppose the young players have really stepped up in this season. You look at Micheál Maguire getting a late point late on. You have Robbie Minahan doing well in midfield this year. Andrew Welton's still only 23 according to the programme as well. You have Thomas O'Mahony in the defence as well. The young players are really stepping up for you, and that probably just adds to the brilliance of the Castlehaven team at the moment.
Yeah, to be honest with you, they've been unbelievable. Over the last couple of years, their attitude and commitment to the team has been unreal for a bunch of young lads. I think James McCarthy, to be fair to him, blooded them, and we're seeing the benefits of that now. Some of their performances all year, and some of them are being given thankless roles as well. Where maybe they don't get the praise that they deserve, kind of the unseen work, and they carry it out to the letter of the law, and we couldn't be happier with them. They're a great bunch of lads.
I suppose the consistency all year for me, what does that come down to? You haven't conceded a goal in 4 games in the championship. You were brilliant in all the games. You beat Clann by 6 points. You beat the Bars by 4. You beat Nemo by 5. What do you think that consistency comes down to in the Castlehaven team? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's something I touched on over the last couple of weeks. Is last year when we won the county final, we were lucky enough that we got a run in the Munster club and into the All Ireland series, and we kind of had 3 months together as a group. And I think we really learned tactically in that time. You have all your Cork lads together. You have you've a good period of time together, and I think it really brought us on as a team tactically. And it gelled us even more as a group. And I really think that has helped us big time this year.
I suppose the manager that knits it all together this season was Seanie Cahalane, now obviously captain in 2012 and 2013 and then to win it in 2024. You mentioned it in your post-match speech as well. It's kind of fitting that Seanie was the man to deliver success to you.
Yeah, like, to be fair to James McCarthy, over the last few years, he's given unbelievable commitment to this team, and like he's brought us to new levels. And it's going to be a hard job for anyone to step in, but no better man than Seanie. Like, I think Seanie just has unbelievable respect in our club. As you said, he captained us in 12 and 13, and like, he's a brilliant role model. He does everything, to perfection. He's unreal organizer and just a great man around the place. And I think everyone has bought into his style of management, and we're absolutely delighted to have Seanie in charge of us.
I suppose yourself, Mark, you're kind of in a different role compared to your days of the 2010s, for example, or even the early 2020s, more of the wing back and sweeper role. How have you found that rather than the forward role? Have you enjoyed it more?
Oh yeah, I have enjoyed it. I suppose, like, I played a bit with Cork that way, going back maybe 8 or 9 years ago as well, and maybe was used to it. And I think, like, the way the game has gone now, bar your 3 or 4 up top, everyone is involved in every play nearly. It's kind of an up and down game. There's no real set positions, and it's a very enjoyable role. I mean, once you're winning, I suppose it's you'd have no complaints. So no, very happy to be doing it, to be honest, Matt.
And I suppose Munster next now in a few weeks' time against Dr. Crokes from Kerry, away in a Kerry venue. That's going to be a difficult game, obviously. And they beat Dingle twice this season, and Dingle were a very tough opponent for you last season. So excited for that game?
Yeah, oh, really excited, really looking forward to it. We know it'll be a huge test. Like, they've had an unbelievable run this year. I think they're league champions, county champions, and the club competition as well. So, like, we're under no illusions. It's going to be a massive task down there, but something we're really looking forward to, and it's great to get back training this week now. Like,
I suppose your All-Ireland run last year all the way to the semi-finals against Bridges. Does that kind of give you the confidence to go into the Munster run? For example, like when you look at it over the last few weeks ago, so you're the only provincial champions from last season to stay in the club championship. It probably just epitomises how competitive the club championship is. But does that give you the confidence to go on a club run this year?
Yeah, I suppose, like, going back to when we won the counties in 12 and 13, was something we talked about afterwards, that, like, we were disappointed we didn't kick on. And it was something we targeted last year. We really wanted to make a good push for Munster. And I think this year, like, we will really knuckle down and have a right go off that Crokes game. The celebrations were cut short with we were only out Monday evening, and we're ready to go again this week. So, like, we're ready to make a right push for it, and looking forward to it.
Definitely so. And yeah, best of luck in the Dr. Crokes game in the next few weeks, Mark. And congratulations on winning the 2 in a row for Castlehaven.
Absolute, Jen. Thanks a million, Matthew. Thank you.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So welcome back to the Star Sport podcast, and of course Castlehaven were the only story that happened last weekend. There was also the Carbery Junior A Football Championship final meeting of Kilmacabea and Diarmuid O Mathunas. It was Kilmacabea that won that game on a scoreline of 112 to 1-4. They will face Douglas's second team in the county quarter-finals now, and then they're on the same side as Castlehaven, Inniscarra and Ahina on that side of the draw. They'll be meeting them in the other semi-final, of course, if they get past Douglas in the quarterfinals. So yeah, I'm guessing the Kilmacabea player Sean will be basking in the glory for now. But like Douglas, I would think that's a winnable game for them, Douglas' second team. But it was a comprehensive win over Mathunas last Saturday.
It was, Matt, and they're like Castlehaven lived up to the favourite tags as well, and got there in the end. And they were given an early scare with an early goal from Mathunas, but in fairness, they battened down the hatches and plugged away all the way through. And I've faced them enough times now to know that they're a very, very good side. And they got the job done. They banished the demons from last year, under lights in Dunmanway. So it's good from that way. But even just seeing some of the comments from the players afterwards, a lot of them there now in that squad have 4 Southwest, Junior A football medals. And they really want the county one. I know the game against Drumtariff probably is another one that haunts them. So they want to kind of banish that going into this year. But you'd fancy them against Douglas, all right, in the quarter final. the tough one would come against either Rahina or Inniscarra. I had the opportunity to play Inniscarra, right, and I know they're a serious outfit. Sean O'Donoghue for them is an absolute fantastic operator, but they will be looking to go a long way. You know, they've conquered West Cork enough times now. I think the county is next on the horizon for them, but you got to give a special mention to Diarmuid O Mathunas as well, Matt. You know, just for getting to the final was a fantastic achievement for them. You know, and they can build on that now for next year, but you'd have to wonder as well, did fatigue play into it a small bit? You know, did they pick up a couple of injuries? You know, will they be all right now for the hurling next week? Because they've been going week on with only, you know, 1 or 2 breaks since the end of July. And it's tough going, but fair play to them for making the final. And it's good to see new clubs coming up in junior football as well in West Cork.
It definitely is, yeah. And a club that will be definitely in the Junior A championship next year after winning the Junior B championship is Goleen. They won against Clann Gael by 213 to 6 points. And they were also already promoted as well because of winning the confined Junior B county series early on the year as well. So they've done the double. They've done the county and the West Cork as well. A brilliant achievement by them. And they now go and face the Avondhu champions in the county series at Junior B level. For Goleen, Sean, it's an amazing year. To win the county is one thing, but then to back it up and win the West Cork is a brilliant achievement.
Yeah, it is fantastic for them, in fairness, Matt. And they're another team that are up and coming. They're flying it this year. You know, they had a great league campaign, went straight into the county, you know, and you know, got over the line in Park Ring. And then there's obviously a bit of a gap then towards the Southwest Junior B. Got the job done there as well, and you wouldn't really back against them for the county championship either. You know, they seem to be on a roll. The management there seems to be clicking with them, and you know they could really cause a shock next year in the junior A as well. You know, there'll be a lot of teams there be kind of saying, you know, Goleen are going to definitely put it up to us, because you see it in all grades throughout the county. If you've any bit of momentum, you know, you can tackle the new grade without any fear. So fantastic year for Goleen, and I'd imagine a lot of them will have the eye on the final county, and it would really round off a terrific year for them.
Definitely would, yeah, and best of luck to Goleen and for the rest of the season in the county championship. The Carbery Junior A championships aren't officially over yet. There is a replay to be played this Sunday in Inniscarra. The Carbery Junior A hurling championship final replay between Ballinascarthy and Diarmuid O Mathunas. That's taking place at 2 o'clock on Sunday. The first game was a bit of a hard watch, 13 points apiece in very bad weather conditions, point proven there. But like, this should be a good game. Consider, like, if the weather does die down, this should be a good game. But at the moment, like, Mathunas will be obviously crestfallen after the loss against Kilmacabea in football. Bal might have an extra gear ready to go. They might have a few injuries cleared up for this game as well. So do you think Mathunas will put up a test to Bal in this one, or do you think they had their chance in the first game?
Oh no, 100%. I'd be giving Mathunas a great chance. You know, I'd imagine a lot of them would have fancied their chances more in the hurling as well this year than football. The football was totally left field. You know, but they've always been a very proud hurling club. You know, and have had a lot of success, winning Flyer Nines in the past, and you know, only could have been up in the intermediate hurling only for losing a county final in the mid-2000s. But they're a strong, proud hurling club. And you'd have to say, if you know a lot of their players, a lot of them are arguably better hurlers. They have some serious, fantastic hurlers who've represented Carbery all down through the years as well. And Ballinascarthy obviously might have been going into the final as favourites. We know about the injuries that they've had. But Mathunas, you'd be hoping for the sake of the game, and maybe for Mathunas' sake as well, that they don't have any further injuries from the final, that they're going to have a bit of freshness. I know they're going to have to be in the ice baths or the saunas or the sea or whatever they can get into during the week, you know, to sort themselves out. But one final drive for them. But whoever gets through it as well could have a serious rattle off the county as well, because we know how hard it is to get out of junior, but it'd be a fantastic achievement for either Bal or Mathunas, whoever comes out on top, you know, to push on now for Carbery, because we'd like to see a bit of success in the county championships for Carbery as well. But should be a good match, Matt. Hopefully the conditions will be favourable this weekend, and should be a good crowd at it too.
Hopefully so, considering there's not much else on this weekend. I think there's only under 21 games and things like that around the county. There's a few county finals that still have to be played as well, but that's large enough, probably the only game this weekend from a West Cork point of view. But if you were to call it, you are the prediction king, obviously. Who would you think will win this?
Well, if I was to predict, probably going a small bit left field here, but I wouldn't look past extra time. Yeah. And if I was to find a winner in extra time, I think Ballinascarthy.
There you go. That's what's going to happen. So, but we'll see what actually happens on Sunday. But after the break, we'll take a quick break first, and after it, we will discuss what's in this week's paper.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So it is that time of the week again where we look at what's in this Thursday's Southern Star Sports section, and obviously enough, it is tailored towards the big story of the weekend, Castlehaven's win over Nemo Rangers, as we mentioned earlier on in the chat, and we chatted to Mark Collins about that as well. In the paper, there's a report, a full match report and reaction courtesy of Noel Horgan and Ger McCarthy, who were there for us in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Sunday. It was a brilliant occasion for Castlehaven, and definitely a sports section this week that every Castlehaven fan should pick up. John Hayes has his weekly column, and he will discuss what won Haven the game and obviously his overall thoughts on the game as well. A full report and reaction will also be there for Kilmacabea's Carbery Junior A Football Championship victory over the Diarmuid O Mathunas on Saturday evening under lights in Dunmanway. Full match report and reaction, as I mentioned there. There's also a bit of a preview before the replay of the Carbery Junior A Hurling Championship final between Ballinascarthy and Diarmuid O Mathunas. Also in the news, other than Gael games, there was the news that Munster rugby coach Graham Rowntree stepped down from his position, and there's a piece on that in this week's Southern Star. There's all the latest news for the West Cork League in soccer, bowling, motorsport. There's all sorts of sports in this week's Southern Star, so get a copy if you're in and around the West Cork area. And of course, if you are further afield and can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star e-paper and get the Southern Star on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just go to www.southernstar.ie/subscribe, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be back again next week. Until then, take care.